You. All right, I'm actually taking a slide. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chortle Cast. I am one of your hosts for tonight, Jake. And I'm feeling a little sassy tonight, Vortex, if you can't tell in the chat. I'm throwing some shade already. I'm also joined by the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the man who may cry devil, and the Star Wars big boy, Steven. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
The father of our future new logo. Is that better? Is that a better name? No, you don't like that? Okay, well, can't win them all. You can't win them all, folks. Welcome to Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games. We talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking all about Love, Death, and Robots, which is a show on Netflix. We're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is a show on Disney Plus. We're going to talk about Stranger Things, which is also a show on Netflix. We're going to talk about The Rescue Rangers, which is a movie on Disney Plus. And then last but not least, I think that's it. That's all we're talking about, right?
We may talk about State of Play that's coming this week.
We may talk a little bit about that. Who
and
knows?
And in that case, last and yes, least, because it wouldn't be last if it wasn't least.
It is the least in the sense that we may not talk about it. So
not much to say.
Not much to say.
Excited, but not much to say.
Yeah, we're gonna probably do a reaction stream to that, so that'll be fun.
When is that?
Thursday. This coming Thursday. I don't know the time off the top of my head. But, we'll try to make it work. What's up, Vortex? What's up, Austin? Of course, we're live on YouTube right now. So if you're a podcast listener, you'll be listening to this later. But you should join us on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time for our podcast. You can hang out with us here in the chat like Austin and Vortex are and have a great time. You can also see us, just our faces in general, but also we do, like, sometimes we're playing games, and we're playing a game tonight. We're playing this game called Spy Party, where one of us is a sniper, one of us is a spy, and we have a great time. So Anyway, that's what we're playing. We're going to be talking about a bunch of movies and shows and stuff. Vortex, to answer your question earlier, Steven made the title of this podcast, and I gave him a lot of love for it. I truly
he laughed for a solid 2 minutes.
I laughed. And I'll tell you what gets me.
I had to look at my watch a couple times. He was laughing for so long.
I'll tell you what gets me. it's the things. Love
Yeah.
things and I don't even remember how it ends. Just whatever.
Je-
Jedi. Love things and Jedi. So it's gonna be a great time.
Cool.
But anyway, Steven, we should probably do you want to be the spy first or do you want to be the sniper?
I want to be the sniper first.
I had a feeling that was where this was gonna go. So don't watch you can see my screen, so you need to not watch the actual.
I'm not gonna watch.
Okay.
I'm not gonna watch your screen.
All right, great.
I've pulled the pop out chat, so
Great.
it's not even.
Great. That's good.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm just gonna,
you have to set up the game. Okay. Hey man.
I gotta pick who I want to play. And I found just the perfect person I want to play. But yeah,
Who?
while we do, well, you'll find out. You'll find out, Steven. That's how it works. That's how it works.
I thought I'd get him, but I guess I didn't.
So Austin is asking about Stranger Things here. He said he watched the entire series that's been released so far in 2 to 3 days. Now, do you mean this season, like the most recent season, or have you watched all 4 seasons in 2 to 3 days? Because that's impressive. I realize it can be done, but that's still pretty impressive. Well, let's just start with Stranger Things because I have binged this this whole time. I binged all of season 4 as well, and really enjoyed it. Sorry, there's a really short guy, and he kind of caught me off guard. So you just gotta determine. Damn it! How did you figure it out? I was trying to be sneaky. So all right, let's start.
You said this short guy freaked me out, and there were like 2 people standing next to the short guy, and I was like, I'm gonna take a gamble.
Man, I should have just shut up. Anyway, Stranger Things. Season 4 is out. To answer your question, Austin. Oh wow, he watched all the seasons. That's freaking insane.
I've watched half of season 1.
Yeah, you don't like Stranger Things, right?
It's not that I don't like it; it's that I just don't care.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I really liked it. I binged every season as soon as they came out, so I've really enjoyed the series overall. But season 4 was good. Austin, the last 2 episodes release in July. I want to say like July 7th, something like that. So, but the first half of the season was very good. Accept or decline? I don't.
It's me.
Okay.
I think.
What was I saying? Stranger Things.
This is not a good game to play for podcasts.
Sorry, I thought it would be just like super chill, but maybe not. We can turn it off if we need to. Stranger Things season 4 was really good.
Is it already over? I thought it was releasing in parts.
Well, there's a part 1 and a part 2, and so that's what I was just saying. Is part 1 is like most of the episodes. There's only 2 that are left. They're going to be released in July.
But they're like movie length, right?
They're like movie length. And honestly, the last episode in this season was like an hour and 40 minutes, which I realize is not movie length, but like that's a pretty long.
That's movie length.
Is it? Okay, well.
I would consider anything above an hour and a half feature length.
Well, that's just barely feature length, but it was long. I watched it and I remember thinking like, man, I'm about halfway through this, right? And then I'd look over and it was like, oh, there's nothing. No. But overall, it's a really good season. My one complaint with Stranger Things overall is it always feels like as we get to the next season, it's almost like they have to set up a problem that like didn't exist previously, if that makes sense. Like season 1, and I mean, I think all shows kind of suffer from this, right? But season 1, if they didn't continue the show, it would have worked. You know what I mean? Like if it had ended right there, it would have worked. Vortex is asking if he's got a life or death question. Is the only reason I'm bringing it up. Should he get Cyberpunk for his PS5?
No.
I mean, if you can get a sweet deal for it, sure.
Yeah.
But
you should wait.
What should he wait for?
Well, they have confirmed that there's an expansion coming out.
Yes.
So one of 2 things will happen, probably. Either they will lower the cost of the base game when the expansion comes out, or they'll come out with a definitive edition that is about the same price as what he would pay now, but it would come with the expansion.
I gotcha. So yeah. But anyway, strange. Like season 1, if it had ended there, it would be a done deal. How do I take the shot? I know who you are. I just don't know how to take the shot.
Shift, then click.
Damn.
I decided to play as Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
I like that. I thought for sure you were the guy in the wheelchair, but here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a great time. Season 4 is great. I'm trying to think of anything interesting. I don't want it to be spoilery, but what to kind of drive at my point that I was getting at though is I wish it was more. I don't know. I wish overall they had been a little bit more cohesive with the seasons connecting, because this season it felt like we spent the first maybe 2-3 episodes setting up this new villain and this new situation. I knew you.
Did I get it?
I slowly saw you coming for me, and I was like, "Don't move, just don't move." Anyway, yeah, they spend a lot of time setting up the new problem, and like honestly, they set up a lot of really interesting things. Like we see 11 in a new high school, and she's getting bullied, and it's kind of rough, and it almost plays a little too close to. I'm blanking on the name, Steven. I want to say Carrie. It's a horror movie about a girl who goes to prom. She gets bullied, and she blows up everybody's brain.
I don't know if it's a horror movie, but yeah, you're thinking Carrie.
So it played a little too close to Carrie, but it was interesting. I wanted to see where that went, and it just kind of gets like hilariously waved away.
Austin, say some cuss words in the spoiler you're about to say, so it'll get flagged for review, and I can decide if I need to show it or not. Because
yeah, that would be a great way to hide it. I never watched a single episode of Stranger Things. All I know is there's a bald kid. There was a bald kid in the first season, but there's not now. Well, technically, maybe there is. I don't know. But anyway, it's overall, it's really, really good. I just wish there had been more cohesion between all the seasons overall. Like season 2 and season 3 share the same villain, just in a different form, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hoping maybe the last 2 episodes will kind of reveal maybe a connection. Like I'm hoping that in the last couple of episodes we're going to find out that this guy who is the big bad in this season, I'm hoping we find out that, hey, he's actually been the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if he's actually going to be that way or not. They did do a really cool twist with him, though. I do kind of, they redeemed themselves a little bit by connecting the bad guy to a lot of different threads, but they're all threads that they introduced in this season. Yeah, see what Vortex just said in the chat, do not show that. And actually, I hope it doesn't come through the pop-up that we have, but
it shouldn't.
Okay. Don't show that. That is big time spoilers. So it's a really, really cool reveal how they kind of connect him back to a lot of the different people. So I really like what they did with this season. It's just kind of a shame that it's almost over and everything. So, and like, there's a lot, this has kind of been a running joke on Twitter. I've seen a lot of people are saying that there's just too many characters in Stranger Things. I think even Millie Bobby Brown was quoted telling somebody that she thought there were too many people and like they need to start. She told the Duffy brothers that, hey, you guys just need to start killing off people because this is this is too much. There's too many. So anyway, but like Hopper, for instance, we all know Hopper is alive. He's in Russia. Like from just the teaser trailers of him, I know that he, I know what happens to him. Like I have no questions, no doubts. I knew exactly everything that was going to happen with his storyline. I knew from the teasers. So I've been very disappointed with him. So I am convinced at this point now, Steven, I think I know who you are, but I think you're hiding in a place that I can't see you.
Okay.
Can I like move? Oh, I can. Dang. I'm not very good at this. I don't know how you keep picking out who I am. Oh, don't worry, Vortex.
Yeah.
Austin, I'm not mad at you at all for saying that.
I'm furious.
Steven's furious.
Yeah.
But anyway, overall, it's really, really good. I'm trying to think of any. I mean, all of the original characters are great and continue to be great. There's a couple new characters that are. Most of the new characters are just okay. There's one named Eddie who's like the high school senior who leads the D&D club that the kids join. He's been a pretty decent addition to the overall roster. But in general, I've just kind of been like, okay, yeah. To the new characters, they've been all just all right.
Yeah.
So
this should probably be our last round of this game because I cannot talk and play this game.
It is a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I apologize. We'll flip it off.
Yeah,
anyway, I'm trying to think if there's any other things I should talk about. Austin, you've seen it. What do you think? Any other points I should or any questions you have, thoughts I should go up on, talk about? Because I blanking on every. It's amazing how quickly you can kind of go through it as well. The show is real easy to get through a lot of different conversations or episodes rather. Bum 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 bum. Trying to think. I don't love what they've been doing with 11 in this episode in this season either. Son of a bitch. All right.
It didn't help that you walked into the wall for about 2 seconds.
No, I was stopped. I stopped. I was looking at pictures.
Well, I guess I got lucky then.
High school drug dealer as well. Nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah, like that. I will say this. My last comment on Stranger Things, as I turn off the game and I reset us for a better conversation, showing. This season had a lot more horror elements than I was expecting. Like,
I mean, that's always kind of been the show, I thought.
Well, but it's always been more like spooky. This has been way more like horror, in my humble opinion.
What is the difference? Like, what is the defining quality between spooky and horror to you?
These are all great questions, Steven.
I'm just curious.
There's a lot of like body
body horror.
Body horror in this. Like the way the main villain kills somebody is pretty rough. Whoops, I did the wrong thing. Like he basically breaks all of their bones and pops their eyes out.
So it gives them bonitis.
It shows you everything. And the first time I watched it, I was just like, whoa, okay. Wasn't expecting that. And then it happens every single time you see all of it. It's just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's just a lot more horror.
Okay.
Because I don't know, like when you see them, I don't know, maybe just the Demogorgon didn't scare me as much, but like once you actually see the monster, I personally just kind of am like, okay, yeah, this is a little bit better.
Yeah.
I like this better, but I don't know. I don't know, dog. It's just freaky. It's just scary.
Minnie is eyeing the stream. I'm gonna scoot ever so slightly to the left so that I can talk while she glares her puppy dog eyes at the camera. Can you see her?
I can see her. She's cute.
Yeah.
She's prish. She's prish.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I've got the stream reset up here for more just
No,
conversation.
there's definitely something there for content's sake, but it was just so
it'll
hard
have to be a stream. It'll have to be its own
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah.
I'll concede to that for
Yeah.
sure. I just thought it might be a good test run, but
Yeah.
Avi it was not. So that's okay. But yeah, Stranger Things season 4, go watch it. Let me know what you thought. I really enjoyed it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Steven, save me. Talk about Obi-Wan.
So
Or Rescue. I don't care. Whichever you want to go to.
I'll go to Obi-Wan because it came out the same day as Stranger Things.
Yeah, this was like a crazy weekend for watching
It was.
stuff or
It
doing
really
things.
So everyone knows my opinions on Star Wars and Marvel right now. They are both horrifically misguided, and every single time new content comes out for either of them, it's really a dice roll if I'm going to either find a new show that I love or I'm going to have to watch my childhood get tortured in front of me once again. Hey, buddy. Flynn wants some camera time. Hey, bud.
Let the dog have some camera time, Steven.
Yeah. He's smiling. This is rare. This is rare form for Flynn. He's normally pretty shy.
I need you to keep Flynn on hand here because I will need to reference him in a second for something.
Okay.
But it'll be at the end. It'll be at the end of the night.
I can promise literally nothing.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see how he does. We'll see how he does.
Thank you, bud. Yep. Anyway, so Obi-Wan was Flynn does have opinion on Star Wars. Oh, Minnie wants attention now too. What is this? What is this? Let me talk. Oh,
this is why you watch the live stream, folks. This is why you watch the live stream.
Anyway, so Obi-Wan came out, and the first scene, well, for one, actually, it starts with. Did my camera crap out?
No, you're good. Okay. You're good.
Good. I just Discord was looking weird. It starts out with a recap of the prequels. That's really good. Like, people hate on the prequels, and I'm of the opinion that the prequels are not good films, but they're great Star Wars, and that's what matters. And this recap that they did made the prequels really compelling. Like, I already think they're compelling, but I think it did a really good job of not only recapping the story, but also just condensing the story in a bit into a piece where people who did not like the prequels would probably be tempted to revisit them again.
Right.
So that was good. And then the first scene of the show, aside from the recap, is Order 66 from the perspective of younglings training. And I'm not going to do a spoiler of the whole show. I just really need to start with this first scene and talk about it for a second to explain kind of where my thoughts are. So this scene, it's a bunch of younglings training with a Jedi Master. Well, I say Jedi Master, the way this person handled the situation, they probably were not a master. But they're going through like meditation training or like some kind of Tai Chi looking probably form of how to use the Force or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then two clones burst into the room, and it just kicks off. And we follow this cluster of younglings and the person that was training them through the hallway. And this person who's training them is killing clones as they go, and she's getting hit by blaster fire as she does it. And it's basically a group of younglings that was going to get executed, and they don't, because they escape. But the person that was training them doesn't make it out alive. She gets killed. She succumbs to her wounds from blaster fire. But the way they executed this scene was, one, the camera felt handheld, so it felt like it was a character in the moment, which was great. Second, I don't think it was a one take, but it was definitely like a long take. It at least felt like, you know, the Daredevil in the famous hallway scenes from Daredevil. It had that kind of vibe to where it was all a long take, which really helped the scene just come alive more. And talk about ways to just start off strong. I saw that scene, and Anna and I watched it together on the day it came out, and I just turned to her and I was like, they could not have started the series in a better way. Because this kind of reflects my opinions of Obi-Wan. I love prequel era. I think that in a lot of ways, prequel era and the story it had to tell is more interesting and compelling than original trilogy era. I'm not saying the movies are better. I'm just saying that there is a lot more lore and character to the prequel era. But the problem with the prequels is that George Lucas does not know how to write dialogue. George Lucas does not know how to make a narrative come off the way he sees it, if that makes sense. And the issue with prequels is that he surrounded himself with yes men. Not a lot of people were there to help him do dialogue or beat by beat storytelling. Which I was watching an episode of or a video by Mr. Sunday Movies about the marketing craze of Star Wars Episode 1. And there was a book mentioned, like the book tie-in or the novelization of the first film, and how an author who like does books wrote it, but he had meetings with George Lucas about Episode 1 and a little bit of Episode 2 so he could foreshadow. And I had the thought, and I'm probably going to pursue this, I really want to read that version because I bet the novelization of Star Wars Episode 1 is actually really good because it has George Lucas's story, his vision, but it's handed to somebody who knows how to make that approachable. And that's kind of the issue with the prequels. But fast forward to Disney era, Disney and the people that they hand these things to, they know how to make things competently. Often it comes off soulless because they try to do things like the sequel trilogy, which just didn't know what it wanted to be. But when you take those competent filmmakers and a group of people each given a job that they're good at, like you have a director, you have a writer, all this stuff, rather than just one guy calling all of the shots. But then you put that to the prequel era, an era that had a very clear vision and identity, and you have this opportunity for just a beautiful creation. And so far, I feel like Obi-Wan is doing a great job at being that blend of identity, but also knowing how to tell its story. If that makes sense. There are a couple things that are kind of weird, guys. If you could just go fight somewhere else.
I thought it's funny that you brought this up because you had said there was a scene where, from the perspective of halflings, I thought halflings, younglings,
hobbits just showed up out of nowhere.
I thought we were gonna see the perspective of the kids in the scene where Anakin kills all the younglings. And I was just like, I don't know if I can handle that. That's going to be intense.
I suspect that we will go back to Order 66 before the series is over, and I think we'll get more of Anakin's perspective of the whole thing. And I really hope we do, because like Star Wars Episode 3, the tie-in game, this is going to be a real deep cut, but I just always thought this was a really cool little detail. There is a lesser known character in the lore named Sindralig. He was a boss in the Order 66 level in the Episode 3 tie-in game, where you actually play as Anakin, you go to the temple and you just slaughter Jedi. Sindralig was like the quartermaster of the Jedi. He was the guy who trained people how to fight with a lightsaber. But he was based on the actual fight choreographer of the films, like voiced by and everything, I think. So, and I thought that was a cool little nod to where they actually made him an in-universe character that basically served the same purpose as he did creating the films.
Right.
I want to see that kind of Order 66 stuff where we see Anakin fresh off of the decision of taking the path where there's no turning back. I want to see him enacting those things. And that may sound terrible. But I want to see Anakin kill kids. I don't want to see Anakin kill kids. I want to see him mid Order 66, like
Struggling
struggling with what he's doing, dealing with what he has to do. That's super interesting. And we just didn't get a lot of that. And also, I just think it'd be cool to see Hayden Christensen reprise as Anakin, do a really badass fight scene.
Yeah.
With other Jedi. We didn't get a ton of that. Like, just we didn't. I think they could convey Jedi and lightsaber fighting to the extent that Episode 3 kind of wanted us to see, like Clone Wars era, where the Jedi were super powerful. I think that could be done a lot better now than it was then, because some scenes were just super awkward. But that was just, a product of the time. Hold on, I'm gonna hold that thought.
While Steven deals with the dogs, I will comment on the question Vortex posed he kind of brings up a question of, is Order 66 overused? And me personally, I don't know. It is kind of it is one of the bigger catalysts in the series. So I definitely see why it's so important and why a lot of things connect back to it. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that direction. I don't know. It's one of those things of like, yeah, it probably is overused, but as long as they continue to use it well, and tell interesting stories and interesting perspectives from it, I think it's fine.
So in the Marvel universe, here's a question for you: is the Battle of New York or the snap overused?
The Battle of New York, I would say, stopped right at where it would have probably gotten close to being overused, because it was referenced a lot. It was referenced in shows. It was kind of the thing to reference to make a connection. But I think it got just close to being overdone, and then we moved on to something else like the snap or whatever. To your point, though, rarely have we gotten an interesting callback to the Battle for New York. The only exception I can think of is in the show Hawkeye, with Kate Bishop's perspective. But like almost every Order 66 look back is somebody else's perspective of that horrifying event and day.
Yeah.
And that's why it's interesting and why it's not quite overused.
Yeah. I would argue that it's not overused yet, but I think it will get overused, because whenever you explore that time period, like whether it's Episode 3 or between 3 and 4, specifically between 3 and 4, if you're dealing with a Force sensitive character, the question has to be answered. Much like when dealing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whenever you're dealing with a character that we didn't see at the like introducing a character that we didn't see at the Endgame finale. The first question that comes to your head was, were they snapped?
Were they snapped? Yep.
For Order 66, the first question that comes to your head when you deal with a Force sensitive in that era is, how'd they survive? And so it almost is like obligatory storytelling. You have to answer that question. Otherwise,
it's just going to nag.
It's just going to nag. And because that's in terms of like Star Wars events, I'm honestly surprised, because, in the Star Wars timeline, there's after the Battle of Yavin and before the Battle of Yavin. So basically pre-Death Star destruction, post-Death Star destruction. I'm honestly surprised that it's not pre-Order 66, post-Order 66, because that was the event that changed everything.
Yeah.
And it's that way because, the timeline was created before Episode 3 came out. But in terms of big Star Wars events, it's it.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is about Jedi, and you're dealing with all but a handful of Jedi are just gone.
Yeah.
So, and just, I think that interpretation of Order 66 up to a point. Like all the ones I can think of that I've seen have done it in a creative enough way, where I don't feel like it's stale yet. Like one of my favorites, Vortex just brought it up, Jedi Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking loved the way they handled that scene, because they know that we know, you know, like when we're playing the scene, every single time we go back to the flashbacks of Cal learning how to do different force abilities with his master and all that stuff, we know that Order 66 is going to happen. And again, the question is, the question's nagging us the whole time. And if we had not gotten that answer with the Order 66 scene, Cal's story would not have been near as compelling.
Mm.
But what was so great about the way they did that story, or that moment in the story, was it happens after a training session. And when you're doing like platforming, there's a moment, and I will always remember this moment, where a clone shoots at you and you instinctively block. And you have this moment where your heart just skips a beat. Mine was like, oh crap, this is it. And then Cal says to the trooper, he's like, almost got me. And then the trooper laughs back at him, because Order 66 hadn't happened yet. And the trooper was like just keeping him on his toes, like helping with the training. He shot him non-lethal, whatever. And that was, oh man, like that moment specifically was like, stop toying with my emotions. You know, like I felt the trauma that Cal felt too. And so Order 66 specifically, that has nothing to do with Obi-Wan, the whole Jedi Fallen Order thing. But I think that it is an interesting enough piece of Star Wars history that we have not hit it being overused yet. But if we keep down this route, it absolutely will be overused.
It could hit that point, yeah.
Yes. But anyway.
All right, sorry, we went on a tangent there. Talk about Obi-Wan. So
Obi-Wan. I'm not going to be spoilery.
2 episodes, right? Are out right now?
2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to be very vague in the things I say.
Okay.
I am going to just talk about things that hit really well to me personally without doing spoilers. I like just moments, I guess. I'm going to be vague, but I'm not going to ruin any of the moment to moment story. I'm going to try to avoid that. So don't worry. This is, I mean, if you've seen the Star Wars movies, then you already know everything that I'm going to say, basically.
Okay.
So like Anakin's Darth Vader, like, you know, but anyway, Jedi Fallen Order and Obi-Wan feel very similar, but in a very good way. Because in Obi-Wan, whenever we see him, he's working at like a scavenging team that's like cutting meat from a dead crate dragon or something. He's basically helping harvest the dragon. I don't know if it's a crate dragon. It's just a very large animal that is to scale of a crate dragon, maybe. Vortex, I agree with what you just said. I find her very annoying, but we'll see. I'm not going to talk more about that. But anyway, every time we see Obi-Wan, he's working at this harvesting group, and we see it like maybe 3 times, but every scene is basically the same. It's hitting home that idea of his life is boring. It's monotonous. He's basically not living. He's just kind of going through the motions, as they say. There's a moment where a guy is getting his pay, and it's not enough. And he says to the guy who's giving out the funds, he's like, please, I have a family to feed. And he's like, deal with it, get out of here. Because apparently they cut the pay. And Obi-Wan catches his eye, and he's like, are you going to do something about it or whatever? And then Obi-Wan has to tuck his tail and walk away. And Ewan does such a good job of playing off this guy who is trying to move on from the fact that he was just the guy who was a war hero, you know, like he was the guy who saw an army of droids and the leader of the army of droids with 4 lightsabers and said, you know what, I think I'm going to jump down make my presence completely known and not fear for my life once to make a distraction for the clones because I can. Obi-Wan had this complex about him to where, and this it's the hubris of the Jedi. It was always part of their story where Obi-Wan thought the Jedi were infallible, and since he was a Jedi hero, he didn't see himself as infallible, but he knew how big of a deal he was, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so you see a person who went from leading armies and fighting as a hero and being respected to basically being gutter trash and not being able to stand up for anyone or himself. And that's really compelling. And Ewan does a great job of playing that off. What else? We see some of Alderaan before it blew up. I've seen Alderaan before because I played the Old Republic. Alderaan's a beautiful planet. And we are talking about Obi-Wan, Courtney. I'm not talking spoilers. I'm being very vague with my description, talking about why I liked it. But anyway, there's a hilarious moment that I would be surprised, Jake, if you haven't seen the memes yet.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay. There's a scene on Alderaan where bounty hunters are chasing somebody through the woods, and this person ducks through under a branch. And this dude, he's like a reptilian kind of, like he's got green skin basically.
Okay.
And he's chasing them, but he doesn't duck, and he like runs into the branch. He's like, like it's just the way they play off is hilarious because he easily could have ducked under the branch, but it's like his species doesn't know how to duck, so he just ran full force into this branch, and then when he hit the branch, he was like, I can't, it's in the way. It was so dumb. But anyway,
that's funny.
So the way that they get Obi-Wan to leave his exile is believable.
Okay. That was going to be my question. I was like, yes. He leaves, right?
Yeah, he goes on a mission. It is believable the reason he leaves, and it adds context to episode 4 as well that I think didn't need to happen, but it makes more sense. So Obi-Wan carries a gun.
Does he carry a knife too?
He does not. Well, he has a knife on the job when he's doing the harvesting thing, because part of the monotonous nature is that every single time his shift ends, we see him take the knife and cut a piece that he pockets for himself to take home. And that's just kind of the way they show that every day is the exact same.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But
sorry, his character in Fortnite comes with a knife instead of a lightsaber, and everybody was like, "What the?" So anyway,
apologize.
Yeah.
Apologize for what you just did.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you mean it?
What? The apology?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So yeah, he carries a gun, which again kind of harkens to him not being the same person he was, because Obi-Wan's famously the guy who refers to blasters as uncivilized. He does have his lightsaber. He had buried it, and he went to go get it out from under the sand. Okay, I'll move on from there. Something very interesting they did. Do you have any questions before
I have so many questions, but I don't want you to be any more or less vague.
I'm almost done with the recap of the episodes, just the highlights of things that I liked. There's a lot of Inquisitors in this. Inquisitors are front and center. One of them is really annoying. Vortex hinted at that.
And she's new, right? Like, she's not been in anything else. Yeah.
She is.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just, I'm sure they're going to add context as to why she is the way she is, but she's just that character that, like, is always right and also feels like she has something to prove. And also she just is overly, like, I say overly driven because we don't know why she wants to get Obi-Wan so bad. I'm sure we will, but it's just one of those things where it'd be a lot more compelling probably if, like, the Grand Inquisitor or someone that we knew and we knew their credentials going into this if they were the ones that were so hot on the trail and seemed to know everything without any explanation, because she's bottom of the totem pole of the Inquisitors, basically. And the Grand Inquisitor even tells her, he's like, "You're the least of us," but at the same time, she knows everything.
Right.
Like it's weird. I don't like it. She's annoying. Yes, Courtney, it does a great job of making Obi-Wan feel like he's a broken man. He just has no reason to even live anymore. An interesting thing that they do that this show, I'm sure it's been done before in EU, but I don't know if they have. There's a con artist that is pretending to be a Jedi. And he is like, people go to him for help, but he's using like magnets and sleight of hand and stuff like that to convince them that he's a Jedi to help people who are less fortunate, but he's taking what little they can give. Very interesting concept, and the person they got to do it is perfect. I won't say who. And I hope to see more from this character and his character fleshed out more. So there is a moment. This is the closest I will get to spoilers, but there's a moment when Obi-Wan, they show the moment when he learns that Anakin's not dead. And I don't know if I was just distracted by the show and just trying to pay attention the whole time or what, but someone says to him, "He's been looking for you, Darth Vader or Lord Vader." And then Ewan's eyes just go wide. And then but it was like me watching and Ewan at the same Obi-Wan at the same time both realized, oh, he didn't know. And just seeing that moment portrayed, especially after they've showed the recap and you've seen flashbacks and you've seen Obi-Wan wrestle with this whole thing, for them showing the moment where he realizes that his fall from grace was basically for nothing. Oh my gosh. Like it's a lot very implied, and it's like he doesn't really say anything, but I feel like there's huge ramifications of that moment that we're going to see. And in that moment, I thought it was played perfectly. So far it's not perfect. But good night, Courtney. I can't think of things that I just strongly disliked about it. There's a character, I guess he's a bounty hunter. This is just another funny thing. It's literally like they took a velociraptor from Jurassic Park and put it on top of a bodysuit, and then put a jacket on it and then made him a bounty hunter. He's my favorite character.
Is he the one that runs into the log?
No, completely different. This dude is literally like, he looks like, if you've seen Velocipaster or have heard of Velocipaster, he's basically Velocipaster with a gun.
Okay.
And
nice.
it is hilarious. But yeah, so far I'm digging it. I really hope we see Cal. I don't think we will. I am so curious and just on the edge of my seat to see Hayden in his scenes. I need to know what they did with him, and I want him to redeem himself so badly.
So we don't see Darth Vader in the first 2 episodes.
You do.
Okay, but we don't really know that it's Hayden.
Well, all that you see of Vader, because they wanted to kind of play it from Obi-Wan's perspective a bit, to where we don't see Vader because we're connecting with Obi-Wan, and I think they held Vader back so that they could do kind of, once Obi-Wan realizes that Vader's alive, then they can bring him into the story. And so that's why the second episode ends cutting to Vader in Bacta, and it's Hayden. And that's the first we see.
But it's just it's a quick shot.
Yes.
So not enough to really.
We've seen Hayden perform being stuck in a pod of liquid.
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I really like it. And normally I'm the guy who, with interconnected universes, I have a hard time watching shows that or just content that's in hindsight. Like Black Widow did not interest me because it was like we're past this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But Star Wars, I feel like, is the exception because their most interesting stories, I feel, are done in hindsight.
Yeah.
Um, because you get to see context for the universe as a whole. Um, and there's just so much, like everything's just so big that they're always answering questions of how did this place get affected by this point in time or this character and so on and so on. And so I feel like at first I was worried about Obi-Wan because I was like, they're just going to ruin it. They're going to crap on his legacy. But so far, and I'm still
You're holding your breath, but
I'm
so
still
far
holding my
it's good.
so far they understand the ethos of the character. And they understand the period. And it's honestly very wholesome just seeing Ewan and Hayden return with such fanfare. Everyone's accepted them. I mean, Ewan, everyone always loved Ewan, but seeing Hayden come back and everyone is just loving it.
Yeah.
That just puts a smile on your face.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's been good. Like all the press stuff, seeing them together has been really, really fun. So, well, I need to catch up and watch Obi-Wan at some point. I've heard that there's like a big character that gets shown in it. Is that something you want to talk about at all? Were you surprised by any characters?
I was not shocked. I was surprised if it's the character I'm thinking of. I was surprised at first that they focused as much on this character as they did, but then it all made perfect sense.
Okay.
Do you know what who the character
No,
is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I somehow have dodged a lot of. I know nothing about the show at this point, so I need to watch it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. One more thing that I'll say. I don't know how many episodes are in this series, but everything that I personally remember from the trailer, like the amazing trailer that did Duel of the Fates and Battle of Heroes, I feel like we've already seen everything from the trailer.
Oh gosh.
So it kind of feels like to me that the trailer was entirely comprised of episode 1 and 2 shots, and that has me really excited because I don't know where they're going with this, and I love that. I think that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to watch it. I feel like Star Wars shows hit better for me than the movies do a lot of times. So I've been excited for this one, but Stranger Things stole the time from me. I figured since it had more, I could just like finish it and then wait for Obi-Wan if I had to. But anyway, I digress. I'll talk quickly about Love, Death, and Robots to give you a small break. Season 3 of Love, Death, and Robots came out. Also, maybe it was last week. I feel like just a lot of things came out all at once. But if you don't know, Love, Death, and Robots is kind of an anthology series that lets a lot of animators just get really creative around the premise of love, death, and robots. So it's 3 seasons. They're all pretty short, mini episodes of that are all animated. Some of them are like hyper realistic animations. Some of them are just really creative art styles. I guess some technically include some live action elements, but anyway, you could easily binge all 3 seasons very quickly. But to recap kind of the past 2 seasons, season 1 I thought was great. There's a lot of really great episodes in there. Season 2 was not so great. Like I really didn't enjoy season 2 much at all. And then season 3 is somewhere in between those two. Like I definitely enjoyed it more than season 2. But overall, there wasn't one that just like really stuck out to me. Like season 1 has this one episode called Good Hunting, which is done in almost an anime style that I wish somebody would do a full-length series about, because it's a really, really cool premise of like myth turning to machine, and it's just really cool how that all plays out. Anyway, season 3, there's definitely some good ones. I'm gonna recommend some episodes if you just want to try a couple. But overall, I'd say it's about half great, half just okay. But certain things may hit differently for other people. So the ones I'll recommend, I'll do them in the order I would recommend them. The first one I'd recommend from season 3 is called Night of the Many Dead. Steven, I think you would really enjoy this one. It's only 7 minutes. I think it's the shortest one out of the whole thing. But it's a really, the animation is this really cool, like almost, you go into a mall or a bank or something, and they'll have a table that has like a glass table that has like a diorama of the whole building and like all the grounds around, or like sometimes high schools. Have you never seen these?
I think I know
The
what you're
church
talking
that
about.
you work at used to have one of these that was just like a diorama of all the grounds, and it's like all these little like 3D made out of cardboard, kind of like scenes that whatever. Anyway, it's something like that. But they stop motion animate some like small figures in these different dioramas. And it's Night of the Many Dead. It's like a zombie apocalypse that happens. Um, it's funny, but also just the perspective and the way they animated it all was really, really cool to me. I had never seen something quite like it. So that one was really fun. The one that I watched and I was just like, this has Steven and Jeremy written all over it, is called Kill Team Kill. And it's about a U.S. Special Forces group that goes and fights a mechanical bear, like a cybernetic bear. And so it's got like big Rambo energy, of just like these like guys with the red bandanas, and they're all rippled out, and they're smoking cigars, and they're like, Captain, what's Ricky Kill Slot, like like all, they're throwing all these names out at each other. You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't think of any of the good ones, but anyway, that one's really fun. It's in a kind of a 2D animation style that I just thought was really clean and really nice.
Yeah.
The next one I would recommend is, I'm not doing this in any well. I started Night of the Many Dead. I highly recommend. Kill Team Kill. I highly recommend. And then Bad Traveling was probably one of my favorite ones. It takes a very realistic animation style, but they do interesting things. Like the people that are in the episode are obviously not meant to be like real people, if that makes sense. Like Soul, the Pixar movie Soul, where all the people are animated. You can tell it's our world, but like the people are very
Exaggerated.
caricatured. Yeah. Features are exaggerated, that sort of thing. So the people in this have that look, but it's very realistic looking. Anyway, there's this Thanapod, which is basically just a giant crab that's taken over this ship that's sailing, and basically one of the ship mates basically strikes a deal with the crab who's sentient, and it's just really, really well done. And I really, really liked it. And then the last one I'd recommend is called Three Robots Exit Strategies. And this is actually a sequel or a follow-up to the very first episode of season 1. And it's about these 3 different robots visiting Earth in a post-apocalypse. I hate that.
Post-apocalyptic world.
Yes, I can never say that. And in the first one, they kind of walk around and joke and have a good time, like just looking at how humanity failed. This one, they look at like how humanity tried to escape the apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's really funny. There's a great bit at the end. There's a great punchline at the end. So highly recommend that one. The only other one, well, there's 2 that like are kind of if you liked what you saw so far and you want to see a couple other ones, this is where I'd tell you to go. And it's The Pulse of the Machine. It's about these 2 astronauts that are on a moon. They crash and there's only one survivor, but the non-survivor has the working oxygen tank, and so the survivor has to carry them across the moon to get to like back to their station. Really, really interesting art style there. It's like a 3D 2D mix. It's like cell shaded. Looks really, really cool.
Okay.
But I didn't love it overall, but it was really cool look. The only other one that I'd like half recommend would be called Mason's Rats, and it's again kind of a more live actiony looking style, but again kind of over exaggerated features about this farmer who his barn is infested with rats, and he keeps hiring like this super high tech robots to fight the rats, but the rats are fighting back. And eventually, yeah, I won't spoil how it goes, but it was pretty fun, and a good one. Now that's like almost all the episodes. So really, all that's left are the ones I didn't like, which is the Swarm, which I just won't even get to. The Swarm, In Vaulted Halls Entombed, and then Jimbaro. I will just stop on Jimbaro. This one was really, really weirdly done. It's like got a I'm blanking on the name. Steven, did you ever watch Dragon Prince on Netflix?
Watched half the season and I could not do any more.
Okay. You know how their animation style, I forget.
It's like a cheap 3D animated kind of style.
Yeah,
Like-
but it's like a half stop or something like that. Like I forget exactly what it is. Like if there's 24 frames in a second, right? In certain shows, this one's like that one is like 15 frames per second or something. It's like half second. Anyway, this kind of has that, but it's in like a super realistic art style. It was interesting. I didn't love it, but anyway. So all that to say, I mean, overall, I listed almost all the episodes. There's only 3 that I just did not like. 2 that I was like, okay, and then 3 that, like I said, I would recommend to folks. So way better than season 2, which I don't even have anything I would want to recommend you to season 2, but. Overall, it's really cool. I'm glad that this show, Vortex was saying, like, holy crap, it's been 3 years since the first one came out. I just love that this is something that somebody at Netflix is supporting, right?
Yeah.
That they're letting these animators just go crazy and have fun. And some, like I said, some genuinely great ideas have come out of this. I just wish they would do something with them. But anyway, it's a really fun show. I like it if you're an animation like fan or admirer. I highly recommend it. Just go check it out. Again, they're really short episodes. I binged the whole season in like an evening, so
yeah,
they're not hard to get through. But anyway, go check it out for sure. Steven, I love that we're ending on the Rescue Rangers. I think that's a great good thing to kind of come down on. Like, okay, tell me about the new Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie on Disney Plus.
I feel like I don't have a lot to say about it other than just a glowing recommendation.
Yeah.
It was just a fun time.
Yeah.
It's done by Lonely Island.
Mm-hmm.
Chip and Dale are voiced by John Mulaney and Andy Samberg,
Yep.
both of which are hilarious. The amount of cameos in this is ridiculous.
Amazing. Amazing.
Ugly Sonic has he gets a redemption arc, basically. Like I honestly thought he'd be a throwaway gag in this movie, but he's not. He kind of ends up saving the day.
Yeah.
Which is great. But there's a scene where like Seth Rogen is in this and he's like some Uncanny Valley Viking character. And there's a scene where they're at a convention and he's chasing Chip and Dale and then he like trips and falls or whatever. And he's trying to get up, but he says like, "What are you looking at?" And it shows that it's Pumbaa from the live action Lion King, which Seth Rogen voiced. And he's like, "Honestly, your ugly dead eyes." And then he starts laughing. And then Mantis from Kung Fu Panda comes up. And then the Blob from Monsters vs. Basically every single Seth Rogen animated like voice role shows up and they just start laughing. So it's just Seth Rogen,
Laughing
like
at
5 of
himself.
them laughing at Seth Rogen. Stupid, but I loved it. Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast gives someone the finger. It's implied.
That. Yeah,
it's implied because like he does the thing
I saw
where he
him
like
burn somebody's autograph.
He like takes his arm and does one of these, and the fire like is up, and it's like, I know what you're doing there, which that was pretty funny. Yeah, there was a talent show scene showing how Chip and Dale kind of started working together, and in the audience there's just an Autobot that they don't address at all. And that's I haven't seen Roger Rabbit yet. And it's really a shame that I haven't.
How have you not seen Roger Rabbit?
I've just never gotten
the opportunity. Does Jeremy know this?
He does, and he gave me crap for
it.
But this movie is what I imagine a modern Roger Rabbit would be, and Roger Rabbit is even in this movie.
Yep.
It's just a great time. The amount of cameos is ridiculous, and the whole time I was just like, I was blown away that this movie got made. Not even just from like a legal standpoint, but also that Disney signed off on it, because it's good. It's a funny movie, but the amount of faith they put in Lonely Island, that they like saw this product and then they were like, yeah, sure, release it. And then they like put some marketing behind it, not a lot, but they put some. That's just impressive, because if they did this movie without reaching out in like a show of goodwill to other places that own characters that were utilized in this, I could see some lawsuits happening. And it just seems like and honestly, it's all done in fair use. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they'll, like, if any lawsuits happen, I don't think Disney's going to lose. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that I could see that happening and Disney still signed off, like, it just seems like it's a headache.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. It seems like it'd be one thing if this was like a huge budget movie that they thought was just going to like really go all out. And maybe this will be kind of the sleeper hit of the year or something, but I don't expect that necessarily. Like I've heard nothing but good things about it. But at the same time, I'm right there with you. It just seems like too much of a headache to have to get the lawyers out and all that stuff. But
it's a lot of risk for what seems like not a lot of payoff, even though the movie itself is just a great time.
Yeah. I haven't finished it. I got to right after Monty was kidnapped, and they went to the stinky cheese dealer.
I loved that guy. He's so creepy.
Yeah.
But how he's like going from the accent to, you guys cops. So good.
Well, I just love it was on Main Street too, and I'm assuming that's like Main Street USA, like Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. And what's so funny about that, you know how Dale was saying like all the shady activities that everyone was up to?
Yeah.
And he says this like little girl that they pass on the street, he's like, she does Muppet fights. In the credits, you see the Muppet fights. So he wasn't lying. Like, all the shady stuff apparently is happening.
That's so wild. Yeah. Kind of going on that vein of like, I can't believe Disney signed off on this. Like, it was kind of, it was weird for me to kind of jump into this world, and they very quickly established that like, hey, this is a world where humans and cartoons, that includes Muppets, that includes like CG, live action kind of characters, they all exist, and they're not the characters you know, they're actors who are playing the characters you know. And so like, it was weird, and I kind of had to like really disconnect for a second of like, okay, so Chip and Dale are not the Chip and Dale that we all know and love. They are actors that are real people in this world. And so like, and it just continues on with everything that you're talking about. Like, Ugly Sonic didn't get recreated. That actor got fired. And they hired a different hedgehog.
And he's voiced, of course, by Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave, which is perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I just now made that connection. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's funny.
Yeah.
What a perfect casting.
Yeah.
I can't. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I thought it was really well done. It has, if you are a fan of like of Roger Rabbit, like you will love this.
Yeah.
It is the same energy, just to like Steven said, if it was done today.
Yeah.
Um,
Not even just in like the characters and everything. The story's cute, but like the humor, there's some stuff that really hits in this. Like there's one of my favorite jokes was they're doing a maneuver based on one of their episodes, Chip and Dale are, where they distract the cat villain by Chip hitting Dale on the head, and the birds that spin around his head distract the cat. And it's like, oh, the birds are actually there.
mhm.
So they try that maneuver later. So Dale hits Chip on the head, and no birds show up, and they're like, why is it working? Try again. And then it cuts to a birdhouse, and there's these two birds sleeping, and one of them, their phone's vibrating, and he gets up, and the wife bird is like, really, again at this hour? And he's like, I have a job, Linda. Like he's just like, I have to do this. So the birds that they use, that are the cartoon birds flying around the head to indicate that you've been like discombobulated, those are actual birds that have actual lives. Like it's so dumb, but like it hits. It's funny.
Well, the stinky cheese being a drug, that's like bad for mice or whatever, I thought was hilarious. So I need to finish it. I started it like over a lunch break because I was just like, I don't have time to watch this, but I'll start it. So yeah, what I've seen so far is really good. But yeah, the cameo stuff, like I'll tell you, I'll just talk about kind of what I told Steven too. The way they got away with Ugly Sonic, they did not get permission from anyone to do that. But every time he is referenced, he is called Ugly Sonic.
And they even address that Sonic is someone else.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, oh, so they're like, quickly, we need to go. And he's like, oh, you want to go fast? That's Sonic's thing. I'm Ugly Sonic. I go slow.
They always reference him as Ugly Sonic. They gave him a pudgy belly, which he does not have in that original Sonic trailer. And he has bags under his eyes, which are not in the original character. So by copyright law, he is a new character. But like apparently they do refuse or are very careful to discuss him in any interviews, because one slip up, one even outside of the movie comment that he is Sonic is a lawsuit ready to go. So that I haven't seen any interviews talking about it or any like quotes or comments or anything like that. So that's how that happened. So I imagine a lot of those, that's how it's all going to play out. But anyway, I digress. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really liked what I've seen so far. But anyway, I'm excited to finish it.
And I would love it if it became like kind of a reboot of the characters, and they utilized it in that way of basically making a series, even if it's just like a series of movies that are that Roger Rabbit concept of animated characters are actors.
Yeah.
Because they set it up to kind of be a rebooted franchise in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to do well enough to justify the headache. I don't think it will. But if they did, I would be here for it. It was just so entertaining.
See, I feel like this is a once in a decade kind of movie. You know what I mean? Like, what would a sequel? And I haven't seen it, so I don't want your real thoughts on this. But like, what would a sequel look like? Would it follow Chip and Dale? Would it need to be different characters?
I mean, I think you just follow Chip and Dale, and then like do something along the lines of them solving mysteries that involve
Tunes.
Classic characters.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that. So you can play with the humor of like, what is, I mean, they probably wouldn't use like Goofy and Mickey, anything like that, but like, what is Goofy up to on the weekends or something like that? Like something in that vein of like using the Disney afternoon characters, like a lot of the more forgotten stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even throw in like Disney Channel animated characters like Kim Possible, Phineas and Ferb, stuff like that.
Ooh,
stuff that just speaks to our generation.
Yeah.
I think would do really well. And there's enough there that you could do at least another 2 movies with it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'd be down. I'd be down for sure. So,
Yeah.
well, there you go. That is kind of the topics that we had on the table for tonight. The only other thing that we kind of thought we might talk about is the state of play coming up this week. I think it's Thursday. I don't have a time off the top of my head.
I'll figure that out real quick. Hold on.
State of play coming Thursday. We will probably be doing a reaction. At the very least, I'll try to do one. So
I'll be free.
We'll see. Steven Stevens will be free. Yeah, we should be able to. In fact, let me look at my calendar too, because I'm just kind of talking out my butt right now, but I don't think I got much planned. Yeah, as long as it's not at 10 a.m., I should be fine. And those things rarely are. That's that'd be a weird time, 10 a.m. Normally they're like 11 or 12 or midnight or something crazy. But anyway, they've already said, which I appreciate that these companies are trying to get ahead of these things. They've already said it's going to focus on third-party partners and blah, blah, blah. So I personally am not holding my breath for much of anything from this. I'll tell you, the real thing I'm hoping to get is some official word on Stray, which is that cat game that they showed at the first
surely
PS5. Well, rumors are floating. It's always had a summer 2022 date. Well,
it's going to be 1 o'clock on
happy
Thursday.
Mother Truckin' Memorial Day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the official start of the summer. So I need a date, please.
It's going to be 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Perfect.
5 p.m.
Our time?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we'll definitely be able to do that. What was I getting at?
Happy Mother Truckin' Memorial Day.
Happy Mother Truckin' Memorial Day. It's summer, folks, so I need a date. Rumors are that it's going to be sometime in July.
Mid-July, I think.
Mid-July.
Like the 19th or something like that.
I want to say 17th. I don't know why, but that's floating around in my head. Anyway, I'm hoping we'll get an official announcement for that. I don't really want to see much more from gameplay because we've already had a pretty extensive. I don't know if it was a gameplay demo or just a really long trailer, but we've seen how the game's going to work. So I don't need any more. I just need a date. Sooner rather than later.
It will apparently be nearly 30 minutes.
Yep. Talking about the state of play now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I really want to see, and I say this probably nearly every time anybody does a video game anything, but this would actually be topical, is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay, yeah.
Because Dragon's Dogma just turned 10, and they've been like reviving it on social media, talking about it, quote unquote, looking to the future. That would be great. Capcom is quickly becoming one of my top developers. Like, they're like my new Ubisoft, basically.
Yeah.
Because they've got Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, Dragon's Dogma. They just make such good stuff.
They are in a renaissance right now, for sure.
They are.
They have really turned their ship around. I'm inevitably, when we have one of these third-party state of plays, we're gonna have a lot of like the Japanese like RPGs, JRPGs, that kind of thing. I've read that a lot of people are expecting news from Final Fantasy. Like, I don't know if 16 is the one that everybody's talking about. I still think that's kind of an okay, like, we'll see. I personally am hoping for some news, maybe about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. That would be nice, but again, like, that just seems so far away. Yeah. So I don't know. The only real hope I have is Stray, and anything else I just hope to be delighted by, because I feel like the last couple state of plays have just been so-so. And now the real more interesting question I have for you, Stephen, we're entering summer. We're entering the vague summer game, time frame. We don't have E3 this year for any structure. Jeff Keighley is doing his Summer Game Fest or whatever, which is the only structure we have. But even that is just like people are doing things and he's just kind of there.
Taking credit for it.
Yeah. So do you think that we're going to get a PlayStation showcase later? Because they've kind of done this. Some things are games showcases and some things are state of plays. because the E3 showcases, if you will, from last year was a showcase, not a state of play. So the terminology there's always kind of been a differentiation there. Do you think this is going to be our E3 PlayStation conference, or is there going to be a showcase later? Do you think?
I think this is probably all we'll get for the month.
Well, for the month, sure, but like for the summer, is this the E3 replacement for Sony? Is what I'm asking.
It's going to be hard to say until we've watched this one, because I think the amount that we see from this one is going to kind of be telling of if there will be more.
I mean, I outright already. Me personally, I think there will be a showcase, maybe late June, mid July. That is, hey, here's first party stuff. Here's what's coming out in the fall and into next year or the next couple of years. Here's the big announcements. You know, the Wolverine, the Spider-Man 3, whatever. Those level of announcements, I think, are going to get their own thing. And I especially think that knowing that this is going to be focusing on third-party partners, I don't think that would be what their E3 would be about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's just hard to pin down Sony. They kind of do their own thing.
They are. They are slowly becoming more and more like Nintendo in that, where they are locked down, sticking to their guns on weird decisions. Yeah. And I'm mainly referencing the whole the new PS Plus. I
didn't even think about that. So much of the state of play is going to focus on that.
You think so?
I mean, it's coming out probably like that week or the week after, isn't it? It's in June.
Yeah, it's close. I just don't. And like we were talking in our group chat with Brody and some other folks talking about, oh, hey, do we know what the PlayStation Plus games for June are going to be yet? No. Are they going to talk about it? I don't think they're going to talk about it, but y'all have all been like, oh yeah, they probably will. Like,
I bet they will at this state of play, and it's gonna, because I mean, I feel like most of what we know about the new Plus system has been not necessarily hearsay, but not straight from the camel's mouth, you know?
No, I mean, most of it has been. Now, there was, before they made an official announcement, there was a lot of speculation, but we've gotten official word from them.
I feel like
most everything.
Most of the, what am I trying to say here? They haven't done it in a large, like a long reach kind of way. They haven't said in a video, which is usually your best things when it comes to telling people about new systems in that market. They haven't had that official press release about that new system yet, and I feel like that needs to happen.
I mean, they've had a press release about it. You're right. They haven't had like a video presentation that's like, hey, here's how the new thing's going to work, or like something that could be eventually turned into an ad. Like, we haven't gotten anything like that.
I think that's what they are going to have to do, but it's Sony, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that the state of play, even if it's like a 5-minute block or whatever, is when it would make the most sense to do that. And then they could talk about it and then be like, this month's games are this, but I guess they would have had to have already released the new games, right? Because
it's usually the first Tuesday of the month. But this is a weird case because I'm pretty sure Tuesday tomorrow is the first.
It's not.
It's not? Okay, so there you go. So it's going to be next week anyway. So yeah, I mean, you're right. They could do that. I think they've done that once. So like there is some precedent for them announcing. I say announcing.
I think if it was just like the next Plus games, it would that doesn't justify enough of a block. But I think with the coming changes, and it'd honestly be stupid of them to not do that, because it's a moment when all eyes are on Sony for the most part. Most eyes are on Sony, and for them to not address this supposed answer to Game Pass in some way, because people that watch this are going to be people that
are buying those,
are buying those, but also aren't the people that are going to read articles. They are people that don't care necessarily enough. I'm not saying all of them, but there is going to be a large portion of people that will care enough about what's going on with PlayStation to watch a video, but they're not going to be the ones to go to Sony's website and read about this new thing with this long press release. And that's why video presses are so important, because it reaches more people, because you bring the content to them, you explain it in a tight block, and more people are likely to do that because it's just less effort. And
I don't know. Me personally, I feel like people who would watch a conference are the same people that would, not necessarily to Sony's website, but to an IGN or a Polygon or something like that. They would be the people that would go to something like that to find out.
A lot of, if not most of them will, but I think that the number of people that watch the state of play is larger than the number of people that are going to read about this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so to me, it just makes more sense to make sure you get those people that you don't get from the articles. But
I agree with what you're saying. I just don't think they're going to. Like, they need to. And I think that would make a lot more sense, but I don't think they're going to. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see Thursday. So we'll do a reaction to that for sure. So,
5 p.m. but
5 p.m. Central Standard Time for us.
It's 3 PDT, and PDT is 2 hours behind us, right?
Yes. Okay. There's a great website. I think it's called World Clock something. I'm blanking on it. I have it saved on my work computer over here, but I don't want to crank that up. That would take a minute. But I use that religiously for everything. I have all the time zones lined out, and it tells you basically have like a line that you just take it across to what time you want in your time zone, and then you just look down where the bar goes to see what time it is somewhere else. It's great tool. But anyway, well, I think that's going to be it for tonight's podcast. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Stephen, thank you for your insightful conversation, as always. This is, of course, Chortlecast. We do this every Monday night, usually around 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, somewhere in there. Go for an hour or two. Just hang out, talk about what's going on. This has been the most newsy we've been in a while, talking about just like shows that we're watching, even, which isn't super newsy. It's just kind of opinions, but we normally do kind of fun ranking games or question games, quizzes, that kind of thing. There's always some more fun to be had. Occasionally we play, some video games for the podcast, but we really save video games for our live streams, which we do Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights. So those are the times to hang out. Sometimes our Fridays are in the afternoon, so I should just probably preface with that. But anyway, Steven, I'm around Thursday or Friday for a live stream. So,
I mean, if say plays Thursday, 5 o'clock,
that might as well be the stream.
The state of play and then come back at.
I would think so. Like if it was at 11 on that day, I'd probably still come back. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's a horrible time for me now that I'm sitting here. I hate it because I'm like going to be right in the middle of putting Asher to sleep. But we'll see how he does. We'll see how he goes. But anyway, Thursday, Friday, I'll be here. Steven and Jeremy will do something Saturday. But anyway, stick around, subscribe, all that good stuff. We've got some exciting developments. I was going to show some of it, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to wait till it's all done. But we've got some exciting
no one's here.
Well, there's that too. Some exciting developments. Working on new logos, that sort of thing. Going to be very exciting. But we'll reveal that in another podcast later once it's officially finalized. We've got a couple minor notes we're making, so I want to save that for you all. But anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you all for watching and listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.